If you're anything like me, you love old cars. You might even own one as we speak right now. And yes, while old cars are usually very easy to work with, power adders are more often than not expensive to put on, especially if the car you own was not taken care of. So, in order to help my classic car enthusiast friends, meaning all of y'all, I've compiled a list to help you pick up some performance in an older car. Of course, as cheap as possible. Most of these I've tried myself, or at least know someone that has tried it. The rest are from the internet. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get into it. The throttle cable is a braided metal link from the gas pedal to the carburetor. Depending on how far down the pedal is, the carburetor will allow more fuel in, creating more power and making you go faster. Over time, this cable will heat up and stretch out, eventually causing throttle response to become slower. Luckily for you, this is something you can easily adjust in your driveway. The low cost is $0.00, provided you have the tools you need at home. They're really basic tools, so most car guys usually do. First, you need to inspect the cable. If the cable has a lot of play and is really loose, that means it might be time to adjust the throttle cable. If the outer covering is cracked, you might need to think about replacing it, which will cost you around 30 bucks. If you don't need to replace the throttle cable, all you need to do is grab 2 wrenches, find the bolts you need to tighten, and you're all set. You need to be mindful of how much you tighten it, however, as too tight won't let your car drop to a proper idle speed and cause you to spend a ton of your hard-earned money at the gas pump. If you saw my Seafoam video, you'll remember me saying that I didn't feel much of a difference. After that video released, I actually did notice a difference. My engine sounded healthier, my car definitely had a better throttle response, and it was turning on a lot more easily. This was also with the added benefit of putting on a fun little smoke show in front of my house. Seafoam is really easy to use. Just get the engine to operating temperature, dump some Seafoam in the carburetor, and let it clean itself. I get more into detail of how to use it in my Seafoam video, which I'll link up top. How Seafoam works is pretty simple. It's a fuel additive that attacks the carbon buildup in your engine. The carbon buildup can cause excessive heat, excessive oil consumption, and cause your car to lose power. If you're interested in using Seafoam, you can find it in most places that sell car cleaning supplies, such as a Walmart or an AutoZone, for around $7 per bottle. This is one of the more expensive mods in this list, but for what it does, the $100 to $200 price tag seems worth it. Old cars are just that. They're old. Their parts are all used up, and some of them may not have a lot of life left in them. Over time, this can severely cause problems with steering, making the straight line speed many of us old car fans enjoy a terrifying chore while we try to desperately move the wheel left and right to keep us heading in the right direction. For those of you with performance in mind, it will also make turning tougher and more sluggish, putting you at even more of a disadvantage at track days. A good way to fix this is to buy a bushing kit for your car suspension. Here's the kicker. This can be cheap if you do it yourself, not if you take it to a mechanic. Replacing the bushings is not that hard, however, it is a long job with many steps, and it requires some special tools. Sneeze. No, come on, don't lose it, don't lose it. No. However, many of these tools you can rent from part shops, which is useful if you don't want to fork over the extra cash it takes to buy them. Replacing the bushings your car is equal to giving your grandma a hip replacement. It allows it to turn like it's brand new. Luckily, your car doesn't need to go to physical therapy, and after you get your car realigned, you can take it for a spin the morning after. It would take me forever to explain the whole process, so if I were you, I'd view this video by Chris Fix, where he does pretty much exactly what I'm saying. Depending on your car, parts can cost anything between $50 to $200. If you get a mechanic to do it for you, it can cost between $400 to $500.
Not this time, punk!
One of the most overlooked things you can do for your car is making sure that all your fluids are clean and new. Also, side note, when I say check your fluids, I don't just mean your oil and coolant. I mean oil, coolant, transmission fluid, blinker fluid, overused joke. And possibly the most forgotten fluid of all, differential fluid. Differential fluid is notorious for always being forgotten, as it's not as easy to change as the others. However, it's still not that difficult, as you only need a wrench, a new gasket, a jack, and a jack stand. New differential fluid can actually help you pick up some lost power, as the old fluid won't allow your differential to turn as easily as when it was new. If you want my opinion, I'd go with Lucas oil. Make sure that for all the fluids you change, they'll work for your parts. Manual transmission fluid won't be healthy for your automatic transmission fluid in the long run, and vice versa, so make sure it's correct right off the bat.
I'll start an intrusion inspection and find out who our rat is.
The best teacher for making a fast car is a low bank account. If you're a young enthusiast like me, you're constantly looking for ways to bring back speed for your car while also worrying about insurance and repair costs. As strange as it may sound, this is a good thing. You end up being forced to do all the small power hours first, and then you get to work up to the bigger stuff later, which eventually helps your car realize its full potential. You also learn the ins and outs of your vehicle while realizing that engine parts aren't everything. Research is also important because if you don't do it, you'll fall into the idea that bigger is better. These racing dragsters have an 850 CFM carburetor, so shouldn't I do the same? If you think that, you're actually going to end up making your car slower. This is called overcarbing. As much as none of us want to admit, our old muscle cars just aren't that fast when compared to today's cars. See, cars are all about finding balance. If you want a lumpy cam, sure, your car's going to pick up power in the high RPMs, but without the rear gearing to back it up, it's going to be a slug off the line. Doing your research takes time, and sometimes the results can be frustrating. But at the end of the day, you'll be doing the right thing for your car and not waste extra money buying parts you don't need. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys taking the extra time it takes to watch my channel. I post videos about every week, but I'm a small channel with roughly around 125 subs. So yeah, I'd really appreciate if you liked, comment, subscribe, ring the bell. Yeah, that's all for. So you don't miss a future upload. Feel free to tell me any cheap mods I missed. I love to hear, everything that you guys have to say. Like I stated last video, if I somehow reach 200 subscribers before January 1st, I'll shave off my entire beard. Thanks again for watching. I hope you have a great day. Peace.